All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Community Issues Committee meeting on Tuesday, July 7th. Just a reminder that this is a community issues meeting, so what community issues committees are, they allow an opportunity for members of the community to speak to the items that are specifically before us today. I am Acting Mayor Jen Schmidt-Rempel. I will be chairing for the mayor. He will be joining us shortly. So, Madam City Clerk, I will call for the roll call, please.
Thank you. Councillor Bieber.
Here.
Councillor Campbell.
Present.
Councillor Croson.
Present.
Councillor Doria. Present. Councillor Parker. Councillor Wolf.
Present.
Acting Mayor Schmidt-Rempel.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Dodick is absent. Mayor Higgin will be coming, so he is absent right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The City of Lethbridge acknowledges that we are gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains and pays respect to the Blackfoot people past, present, and future while recognizing and respecting their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship to the land. The City of Lethbridge offers respect to the Métis and all who have lived on this land and made Lethbridge their home. 3.0, adoption of the agenda. Can I get a motion for that? Councillor Campbell. Be it resolved that the July 7th, 2026 agenda of the Community Issues Committee meeting be adopted as presented. Councillor Campbell.
Anything, Madam Clerk, that we need to add?
No, there are no additions or amendments to today's agenda. Thank you.
I'll call for the vote.
Question's been called. All in favor? That carries. 4.0, I have the consent agenda. Could I get a mover for that? Councillor Parker. Be it resolved that the Community Issues Committee approve the minutes of the following meetings and authorize the Chair and City Clerk to sign the same. Community Issues Committee meeting, June 2nd, 2026. Community Issues Committee meeting, June 10th, 2026. Community Issues Committee meeting, June 16th, 2026. Councillor Parker.
Question.
Question's been called. All in favor? And that passes. Okay, so we are on to presentations. This is 5.1, reporting from council representatives on boards, commissions, and committees. We do not have a motion for this.
Councillor Croson will do an introduction.
Councillor Croson, can we have you do an introduction to this item, please?
As long as I don't have to do a song and dance, I'm fine. So let me explain my thought process for bringing this forward and why I brought a motion more for a conversation than for an answer. I have a conundrum when I sit on external boards as a representative or as a councillor or in whatever state I'm in. Because of Section 153 of the Duties, Titles, and Oaths of Councillors, under general duties of councillors, councillors have the following duties: A, to consider the welfare and interests of the municipality as a whole, and to bring to council's attention anything that would promote the welfare interests of the municipality. It doesn't say unless you're on a board that you can't do it on. It just says anything. And we do appoint various members of council to a variety of boards, some of which, of course, have their own roles, have their own governing legislation, etc. And so I brought this forward because what is the role of a councillor on those? Should we instead be putting public members on some of those, because then you wouldn't have this? At what time can a councillor bring information back? I think anybody sitting around this horseshoe who has been here long enough knows of 1, 2 occasions when somebody from council, and this is in the past, was on a committee, knew something that would have been incredibly useful for all of council to know, but felt that they couldn't bring it back, and decisions were made before that information became aware by all of council. Could have led to other conversations and other decisions. And so this is where this comes from. I know other organizations find different ways of doing this, but what is our responsibility to council, to the corporation, to the community residents when we sit somewhere as a councillor? Do we completely give up our role as a councillor? Do we have a responsibility? What kind of interaction do we have with the organizations? Knowing as well that we don't sit on all the organizations we sit on aren't exactly the same. Our interaction with them, our role with them is different. And so this is to start that conversation about when do you stop the meeting and say, I need to take this back to council with permission because it's something that's absolutely vital. Do you even have that right, or do you have to absolutely always keep it silent? So that's the start that I would like to have a conversation around.
Thank you very much, Councillor Crowson. We'll now hear from members of the community who have signed up to speak to this. First off, I have Robin James, CAO of Lethbridge Housing Authority. Thank you, Ms. James.
Sorry, I'm still trying to pay for my parking. I'm being honest here. Sorry, I apologize. So Lethbridge Housing did send a letter in. We just wanted to bring a few remarks. So in our letter, we did say that we would not be able to allow for this report back to council to take place. We appreciate the opportunity to address this with you. We are an arm's length organization. We are governed under provincial legislation and regulations, and we have our own governance framework. Our council member, Councillor Dodick, who isn't here today, has a fiduciary duty to act on behalf of the Lethbridge Housing Authority when he is a board member of the Lethbridge Housing Authority, and he's not acting on council. He's appointed by council, but he's acting as LHA. He has a duty to maintain confidentiality and in compliance with our policies and our applicable legislation. We cannot support this requirement due to the confidential nature of the information that is shared with our board. LHA is committed to transparency with City Council. We're happy to report to you annually if you so desire. That's not something you've ever desired, but I'm happy to do that for you annually. We do file business plans every year, and they are available on our website, and we do have audited financial statements that are available on our website or for you to view at any time. We'd just like to remind council that we are also under POPA, which you are under as well, which doesn't allow us to disclose tenant information, employee information, complaints, financial records, or disciplinary matters. So just with those in mind, thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and sorry I'm late. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. James. We'll have questions at the end after we've had all our speakers. I'll now call on Ben Young, Interim CEO for Economic Development Lethbridge.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Ben Young, Interim CEO of Economic Development Lethbridge. We did discuss this correspondence from council in our recent executive committee meeting, so I'm speaking on behalf of Economic Development Lethbridge here. We do appreciate council's desired intention to strengthen communication between the city and external organizations it supports, and we value the partnership we have. We have no concerns sharing annual general meeting materials, strategic plans, audited financials, board minutes packages. All that is public information on our website and available for council. However, we do have concerns with the requirement for a standing resolution authorizing the disclosure of confidential board information. Our concerns are very similar to the ones you had in your package, and you'll probably hear from other organizations here today, so I'll be very brief. But our board members, when they join EDL, sign a confidentiality agreement with EDL. When council-appointed members join our board, they are subject to the same confidentiality obligations as other full voting members and directors of our board. A standing resolution authorizing disclosure of confidential information would put those individuals in direct conflict with the agreements they sign joining our board. This does create a fiduciary conflict. Council-appointed members, again, are directors that serve EDL as full board members with duty to act in the best interest of EDL when they are on our board. Yes, they are members of council, but when they join our board, they serve the best interests of EDL as a full voting and participating member. And also, within this proposed motion and discussion, the scope is still undefined. So, what is considered pertinent and confidential information is not really defined. So leaving that determination to individual council members could create organizational risk and becomes discretionary rather than policy-based. So, I'm not suggesting there's not room for improvements to meaningful information sharing between organizations like EDL and council. I believe it can and should happen, but we would ask that any such mechanism respect EDL's governance framework, be clearly defined, and address the conflict this motion potentially creates around existing confidentiality agreements. So, if council desires a new approach to information sharing, we'd very much look forward to participating collaboratively, working with council to find an approach that serves both our organizations for transparency and good governance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Young. Do we have any other members of the gallery that would like to speak to this? Any other members of the gallery who would like to speak to this? Oh, well, please come forward and state your name.
Members of council, my name is Doug Thornton. I'm the chair of the Lethbridge Police Commission, and we, of course, have received the notification of this concern. We've had a discussion on this at our most recent meeting, and our commission have decided to ask our executive director to prepare a stand on this subject. Basically, we believe that we are established under a couple of different pieces of legislation. First among them is the Police Act. Second among them is our bylaw establishing a police commission for the city of Lethbridge. And that leaves us perhaps in a slightly different situation as far as confidentiality is concerned, because your commission deals with sometimes very sensitive issues that involve other individuals and their relationship with other parts of the province. So we're very concerned about that. That having been said, respecting the responsibilities of in-camera sessions wherein we are all of us are charged with the responsibility to keep confidential items confidential. We do understand that we serve the citizens of Lethbridge by our public oversight of our police services. And that's of great interest, but there are certain items that can't be. Since we are represented by two members of council who are in a position of commissioners with us, we're more than happy to share things with them. However, we do have responsibilities to keep things public. We have discussed this matter and are ready to, after legal consultation, to consider in an in-camera discussion if members of council who are also members of commission feel that there is information that would be of interest to council, we would consider a motion on coming out of in-camera authorizing the in-camera presentation of discussions with council by our two members of council there because of the relationship that your commission has with our city. That there are certain items that a commission might decide would not be appropriate to share with council. Case in point, information on individuals or other things that are private to them and subject to the release of information that may be challenged or called for going forward. So we approach this request with a little bit of trepidation. How do we maintain the oath that we have all taken to maintain confidentiality and yet share things with our council that need to be done, so we can all maintain our oath. So I'm willing to, our executive director, Elizabeth Thompson-Venswin, has prepared a presentation on this, and we'd be happy to do that either now or during the question period, however you'd prefer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thornton. I believe the commission also submitted a response to this.
did.
Is there any other information in that response that was submitted to us that would be presented? No additional information? Okay, then I think we've got the information we need. Thank you very much, Mr.
Well,
Thornton.
we're ready to answer any questions that you have me later.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to this? Please come forward and state your name.
Darthlyn McFarlane, Associate Director, Chinook Arch Regional Library System. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak today. Chinook Arch Executive Committee met, and I'm just representing the board today. Chinook Arch is committed to transparency and accountability in its governance and operation. As a result, most of the information considered and discussed by the board is public information and is available through our regular reporting processes, including our annual reports, audited financial statement, our strategic or plan of service, and other governance documents. These are readily available on our website. A board report is also sent out to member municipalities after each board meeting via the CAO or the city manager's office. With respect to confidential information, the Chinook Arch Library Board have a duty to comply with applicable privacy legislation, including access to information and the Protection of Privacy Act, as well as its fiduciary obligation regarding personal, legal, and contractual and other sensitive matter. Any confidential information received by the board member is treated in accordance with these legislation and governance policy. As of such, confidential information could not be shared beyond authorized recipient. Doing so would create the risk of compliance with various legislation and also our policy. Accordingly, Chinook Arch Library Board would not be able to provide a blanket authorization allowing council-appointed representative to disclose confidential board information or documentation to City Council. Any disclosure of such information would need to be assessed, maybe on a case-by-case basis, and would be done so by the board. The board would be happy and will continue to work with council to create and work with a communication plan if so desired, but at this time, they would not be able to approve that motion.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to this? Please come forward and state your name.
Hi, I'm Donna Koslovi. I'm the CEO of Green Acres Foundation. We are very much like Lethbridge Housing Authority in that we are a management body. We are a creation of an act of parliament from the provincial government under the Alberta Housing Act. So therefore, we are not a committee of the cities. But also under the Alberta Housing Act, the Board of Directors has to abide by the Alberta Housing Act and its regulations. One of the regulations that the board does have to abide by is the Management Body Operation Administration Regulation. And in there, it says that one of the things for disqualification of a board member is disclosing confidential information. So I believe that it would be very difficult for the board members that the city has appointed to Green Acres to come back and disclose anything that was in camera. Otherwise, they would jeopardize their board membership on the report. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kozlovi. Come forward and state your name, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and councillors, for having this opportunity for us to present today. I'm Alison Purcell, trustee with Lethbridge School Division, and invited here on behalf of the Lethbridge School Boards and City Council Joint External Committee. So as we sit on that committee as city councillor and trustees. We are sitting on that committee as elected officials. And I know that it was highlighted in our terms of reference that there is an obligation to report back information to our respected organizations. In addition to any information that has been shared by my colleagues from other organizations, I think it's important to recognize that often it's about how we act as governors and ensuring that we're trained and able to come forward when we're sitting on committees to know what our role is as a representative as a governor. So when we're sitting in an in-camera meeting, it's ensuring that if there's something that we need to be bringing back to our respective organizations, we're having those discussions in camera to discuss how we can present that information when we go back to our respected organizations to get information. When we're in camera, we're not making decisions. So it would be information that would be shared outside if we're going to be making a decision. So I really do think it comes down to how we're ensuring that our representatives are trained so that they know how to have those conversations and to be knowing what information to be taking back and forth. I appreciate everything that our colleagues in the room have shared today, and I think that all of those point to different legislation. Another point is in regards to our joint committee that we do have, is that sometimes it's when we have stakeholders that might want to come and present to us, so potentially the government might want to come and talk to a smaller group, such as our school boards and city council. They know that they're coming to a smaller group, and I don't know that they're necessarily going to be as open to come and present to a smaller group, knowing that potentially whatever is shared is going to potentially be taken out of context and presented to a much larger group and not have all the same background information or the same information that's shared at that in-camera meeting. So those are some of the concerns that we'd like to share and the possible solutions of ensuring that proper training is there for representatives and that can go for any of the committees, that everybody has joint information of how to be a good representative and a good governor. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Purcell. And you can look forward to mine and Councillor Parker's report back next week in the council meeting package. Is there anybody else here who would like to speak to this? All right, then I will turn this over to members of the committee to ask any questions that they might have of the presenters. Does anybody have any questions of the presenters? Councillor Crowson.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I'll start with Ms. Kozlovi, if you don't mind. You have reps from a variety of communities. How many of them send community reps and not councillors?
We had two, now we only have one.
And does it have to be councillors on your board? Or
No.
we appoint them, but we can choose anybody? So it could be people who have experience in seniors housing, does not have to be councillors.
You're absolutely right. And under the new regulations, there is a board skills matrix that we have to fill out for the government, and they want certain criteria, and that's why we send it to the city and we send it to the other 6 municipalities saying, we are looking for this criteria. So when you're appointing, can you consider that?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair. And I see the chair has changed. If you don't mind if I ask the members of the Police Commission, either the Executive Director or the Chair. This is off topic in some ways, but it's also on because it's part of it. So we just recently brought in body-worn cameras. Does the LPC have a policy around body-worn cameras? Because I've been asked by the public and I don't know.
I don't know if this is relevant to the conversation, but the police service does have...
Not the police service, does the police commission?
The police service has body-worn camera policies, and the police commission is working with them to have oversight over those policies and review and approve them.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair. I'll step out right now.
Thank you, Councillor Wolf.
Ms. Thompson-Wensing, if I could just interrupt your path there. So there's a couple of things I want to clarify to make sure that the public understand. When we use the term in camera, it can be a little bit misunderstood. It means it's closed. It means the information that's being discussed in there is private. And then to go out of camera means it's made public. So I just want to make sure your letter was very well written. I just want to make sure we are explaining this for those in attendance. Would you feel that within the Lethbridge Police Committee, there is an established mechanism for me as a member and a member of city council, if we were to discuss something in camera, there's a concern with security at an event, and there's a potential money issue or anything that we feel is anything that I would feel that council needs to know about. Are you satisfied and content with the current mechanisms that exist to get that out of a private meeting and into public hands?
Yes, I am satisfied. There is a current mechanism, and also the mechanism is under review. Currently, the mechanism is just that our commission councilors would raise their hand and flag the issue and say that they believed this issue needed to go to council, and they'd share the reason why. That's not something that's happening very often, and so we want to be able to give the proper orientation to our commission council members and to all of commission so that they can be more aware of what kinds of things would be appropriate to flag, what kinds of things would not be appropriate to flag. And that's why at the end of our letter, we suggested that perhaps council would provide us with some of the ideas of confidential kinds of information they believe they would like to have shared with them, because then we can be more proactive. And one of the processes we are currently reviewing and creating is actually having a template so that it's not just a councillor sitting in a commission meeting, hearing confidential information, and then being given by motion the direction to share that with council and sharing their own opinion. There would be a form that they would have to fill out, that I as the executive director would help them fill out, that would have the appropriate information that is allowed to be shared, and nothing beyond that would be allowed to be shared. And we believe that that process keeps us more protected as an independent governance body, and also keeps the service protected and keeps us protected as far as privacy legislation. So there is a mechanism in process. We're strengthening the mechanism, and we believe that this mechanism is the appropriate mechanism.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions from my colleagues on this? Seeing none, the resolution. Okay, we'll need a resolution to come forward, so just take a minute for that. Or is there somebody that, Councillor Crozet, do you want to? Okay, just a couple minutes here, and we will just take a quick pause while we figure out that resolution. Thank you. putting together a resolution, and I do have one coming forward from Councillor Croson, reporting from council representatives on boards, commissions, and committees. Be it resolved, the Community Issues Committee postpone this matter to the July 21st, 2026 Community Issues Committee meeting. Councillor Croson.
Based on conversations and based on the fact that there are different types of committees, et cetera, I would like some time to fine tune a motion instead of making it on the fly. So I'm just asking my colleagues to give me 2 weeks and a little more sleep than I've been getting this week to work on this.
Thank you. This is for debate. Do you have a question or debate? Okay. Debate. I see the merit in this and where you're coming, Councillor Croson, but we're pushing this down the path to get something that really we heard loud and clear. And I was listening on YouTube as I was coming in here, so I got to hear the speakers. Thank you. And they're legislated, and it's done in a way where these folks can't bring this information forward. And I know that there's other things to be done. When that comes forward, maybe a motion can come forward at a later time as far as you know, I want this particular information from the police commission. I want this. I don't see this in any other councils, and I'm just feeling like we're getting out of our lane on such a regular basis, and we just need to deal with the stuff that's at hand here in the community. So for that reason, I just won't support this going forward. Councillor Wolf.
I hope folks found the discussion to be beneficial. I think there's hopefully some things for all the community representatives to learn from this. I'm not saying the police commission is perfect, but I do really respect the fact that we've proactively considered this. And so if there is room to find solutions outside of just a very set reporting period and very set reports, maybe each committee can take that and consider that as to a councillor's ability to try to get really important information into open and then consequently to council. That being said, I won't support this motion either. I think if Councillor Croson feels it's very important, maybe there's a need to go and find something that's workable through consultation with all these committees and then bring back a different motion. But as for this one, I'll be unable to support it. Thank you.
Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Thank you very much. I certainly understand the spirit of why this is being brought forward and appreciate that. But it seems to me that as councillors sitting at these committee tables, that it's our responsibility to be putting up our hands to be asking this question at those tables. Certainly Councillor Wolf and I did that at the Police Commission table, and that's why the Police Commission is now working on a process on how to report in-camera items back to council and take items from council back to the commission. So we're certainly working on that. We worked on that, Councillor Parker and I worked on that sitting at the joint school boards table and how we were reporting back on that. So like I said, while I understand the spirit of this motion, I do think it is our responsibility to be taking the initiative on this. And that's our job. We can be doing that. So I won't be supporting this motion at this time.
Councillor Doria.
Okay. Listening to all the comments from the different commissions, and I know how Councillor Croson wants to know the reporting of information from different commissions. With the resolution that Councillor Croson will say maybe in July 7, the agenda will she will be putting it into a motion. But for me, it will take time. For me, there are things that we need to establish why we have to make a reporting mechanism if it's needed. And I think we need also to be mindful with like the disclosure, the transparency, all the information that we need to share to the council, because at the time when a council member sitting as a board member in a certain commission or a certain group, there is a big responsibility that he or she will follow what she is bound to follow within that organization. So I think there's a need for us to define we need a more definition like, for the whole scope of this motion. So supporting that this agenda will be this coming July, I am not really in support. I think we need more time, and I think we need more information whether we need this motion or not. So at this point, I am not supporting for this motion.
Thank you, Councilor Doria. And I see no other one in the queue, so Councilor Croson to close.
I'll continue to work on good governance, and I'll call the question.
Question's been called. All in favor? Those opposed? All right, thank you.
So we do need a motion still. That was just a. So we still need a motion.
That's right. So I can make a motion that we receive it for information? Is that all right? All right. Any questions? Debate? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? To receive for information. So that's unanimous. Thank you. All right, next I have motion 6.1, moved by Councillor Croson, confirming Council's confidence in the Lethbridge Public Library as a board and staff. If maybe you could give us some background to that. I know we've talked about it here in the past, but if you wouldn't mind giving us some background to that, Councillor Croson, thank you.
So yes, I did speak of this earlier, and I know we had some other people speak on this as well. The same concerns that were in this motion exist, even though this has now been passed. So this is now part of the Library Act and is no longer a bill. But what this essentially is we are the major funder of the library. We are the group that appoints the library board. The library board then has full management and control of the library operations. We have been effectively and efficiently running the library since 1919 for well over 100 years. We know from when the library spoke to us last time that there have been incredibly few complaints brought up in the last decade. Any of the complaints have been managed by the policies and provisions already in place. So we do not see the issues that others may. And so we want to reaffirm our support for our public library, the staff, the professional staff, and the board there. We do know, of course, that the Library Act has passed and that there may now be inspections. There may be changes that are going to be mandated by the province. And while we may not think those are necessary, if they are to happen, who's paying for them? Will the province step up with funding for bringing forward something that is fixing a problem that we don't think is a problem? And so that is what we are asking, is that you, as the mayor, if this passes, would write a letter to the province on behalf of City Council saying, expressing and reaffirming our support for the library, our library operations, the quality of our library, our professional staff, the board, and to encourage the government to bring forward financing if they are going to impose changes.
Thank you. I have a question. So of course this is great. We support all the different organizations that are funded through or partially funded through or all funded through the City of Lethbridge taxpayers. But now, so we start with this. Does this mean we're going to have one for the Galt Museum? We're going to have one for the Arts Council? We're going to have one? Are we going to, because we support all of them, or is it just because of this particular Bill 28 is why this is here?
Yes, yes. If there is something brought in that says that they are, having problems, then we would look at that on a case-by-case basis. This is something that is very specific to changes being made around libraries.
So just supporting them, it may not be some of the things that are being done there, but supporting the group as...
Supporting the group, again, that we elect or we appoint, we interview, we read their resumes. We actually are the ones who choose, based on their background, the board here. I should think we would have support and affirm that we do have support in them.
Thank you. Councillor Wolf.
Question. So I'm reading the title here of the motion, which is to express our confidence, to confirm our confidence in the library, which I 1,000% publicly express. So does that mean then that we could just eliminate number 2, 3, and 4, which have nothing to do with our expressing confidence, and just affirm our confidence?
You are asking whether or not motion could be split, which is of course, I need my microphone back on from somebody. You're actually just asking a governance question, whether we can split motions, and if you brought a motion forward to do that, that would be up to council to decide. That is something that is permitted under, our rules, but that would be something that would have to be done by motion.
Thank you.
Yeah, the motion I have right now is be it resolved that the Community Issues Committee.
Yes, but we're looking at the old one. That's what he's referring to.
Open, okay. I was going to say, because there's,
Yeah.
thank you.
No, it was referred to this. That's why.
So before we continue any further, I know that there's going to be a lot of questions from those in the gallery. So we'd like to ask if there's anybody in the gallery who would like to come up and speak to this. And yeah, we'll start off with the names, but you're on there as well. So come forward, state your name just for the records. We know who you are, but for the.
Didn't want to jump the queue. Tara Plato, CEO of Lethbridge Public Library. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the chance to speak to this. I'm here today to really outline the library's concerns around the practical impacts of the proposed regulations under what was formerly Bill 28, and what impact they could have on the library, our ability to serve the community and the taxpayers. Bill 28, as you know, passed since the last council meeting where this motion was first presented. However, we're still asking the province to consider the impacts of the associated regulations on the library, and the regulations are being drafted now. First, I want to be clear that Lethbridge Public Library already has strong, effective policies that ensure age-appropriate access while preserving parental authority. Our intellectual freedom policy commits us to resisting censorship, protecting privacy, and supporting the fundamental freedoms guaranteed under the Charter. Our collection development policy reinforces that parents, not government, decide what their children read. We use industry resources and professional expertise to ensure that a book's intended reader, reading level, subject matter, and professional classification determine what collection it goes into, not individual opinions. We provide the tools, guidance, and expertise so families can make informed choices. Parents already control their children's access. Children must be supervised by a parent or guardian at the library. Borrowing for children under 13 happens on cards that parents can access, meaning parents decide what goes home. Movies, games, and digital collections generally aren't viewed at the library. They are viewed on parent-provided devices. So parents already have authority over what their children see. We also have long-standing procedures for concerns about materials. In the last decade, we've only had 6 formal reconsideration requests. Only 3 of those were on children's materials, and most didn't ask for removal of the materials. However, Bill 28 introduced sweeping, untested requirements that have the potential to have extraordinarily costly and extraordinarily costly and operationally disruptive. The proposed changes have the potential to impose significant costs and resources on the library. The construction of barriers or separate rooms to separate materials would fall entirely on municipalities. These costs are unbudgeted, and the province has stated no funding will be provided. Staffing impacts are also substantial. LPL holds 225,000 physical items and brings in more than 120,000 items per year from other libraries. Vetting every one of these is not feasible. Additional staff would also be required to check ID and manage access to restricted materials. The impacts of the proposed restrictions, as they have been communicated to us, mean that teens would face the same restrictions as a 5-year-old. Parents could not browse restricted materials with their children. Everyone, including adults, would have to show picture ID to access collections, compromising privacy and discouraging use. Staff would face increased conflict, psychological harm, and the library faces reputational damage as we enforce rules that patrons may see as violations of their rights. More barriers mean fewer users, and fewer users often leads to reduced funding, creating a downward spiral that harms services and community. Importantly, Albertans do not support these restrictions. A January TrendWatch Alberta survey found that 82% trust public libraries to make decisions about materials, and 60% oppose provincial restrictions. While we await the written regulations, we and other Alberta libraries are asking the provincial government for three things. First, clarity on what will actually be restricted. Public libraries fully support age-appropriate access to materials and respect the role of parents in guiding what their children read. No public library in Alberta carries pornography. The scope of the restrictions in regulations should be limited and clearly defined. Second, recognition and use of the controls that all libraries already have in place, and assurance that parents will continue to decide what is right for themselves and their families. And third, support for any associated costs that come with the regulations to ensure that the burden does not fall on taxpayers or at the expense of public libraries' ability to serve their community. Lethbridge Public Library has been community-run since 1919. The regulations related to Bill 28 have the potential to introduce costly, unworkable requirements that will reduce access, erode privacy, harm the institution, and diminish one of the most trusted institutions in our city. We urge Council to support efforts calling for clarity on what will be included in the regulations and the restrictions, ensure parents continue to exercise their rights in making decisions for their children, and controlling the potential capital and operational costs so as to not unnecessarily place the burden on taxpayers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Plato. Next, I have registered Bonnie Mickelson-Andron.
Hi, my name is Bonnie Mickelson-Andron, and I'm here to talk about public libraries from two perspectives, as a professional librarian and as a parent. First, as librarian, I've worked in libraries since I was 16, eventually earning a master's degree in library and information science. I choose to work in public libraries because I want to serve my community, and the role of public libraries is to serve their entire community. A core value of public libraries is freedom of information, and Bill 28 threatens all of our access to information. And speaking about what Bill 28, I'm going to address what the bill actually says, but so it is on the record, public libraries do not contain sexually explicit materials. But Bill 28 doesn't talk about sexually explicit materials. It is broader and more authoritarian than that. James Turk, an expert on intellectual freedom, said at the Library Association of Alberta Spring Symposium that this legislation is the most far-reaching libraries legislation he has ever seen. Section 39, Part 7 states, on receiving the inspector's report, the minister may make any order that the minister considers appropriate. With this one sentence, control of public libraries is being taken from their communities, from the local library boards that municipal councils like you put into place, and from the professional staff that have dedicated their careers to giving to their communities. Right now, the government is talking about sexual content, but Bill 28 does not limit the materials or subjects the government may deem inappropriate next. At the same time that this legislation takes away access to information, it also has the potential to take away individual privacy. Section 39, Part 3 states an inspector may, in the course of an inspection, require an employee of a board to give a reply to a question that is relevant to the purpose of the inspection, or provide any other information requested by the inspector that is relevant for the purpose of the inspection. Section 40, Part 3 goes on to state a person who obstructs an inspector is guilty of an offense. Librarians hold the protection of privacy at equal standing with freedom of information. It is no one's right but your own to know what you read, watch, or listen to, but the broad access given to library inspectors puts all that at risk. At the May 12, 2026 City Council meeting, when this motion was first brought forward by Councillor Crowson, Councillor Rolfe commented that he felt he was not qualified to adjudicate or judge a provincial policy. The reality is that City Council members are not experts on many topics you have to deal with, but that is why you surround yourself with experts who can advise you when decisions have to be made. And on this topic, on library legislations, librarians are your experts, and we are telling you this library legislation is going to damage library services, increase cost, threaten privacy, and impede citizens' freedom of information. Please listen to your librarians. Now, as a parent, this legislation makes me both angry and heartbroken. Angry because the Alberta government and pro-censorship special interest groups are claiming that Bill 28 is about parental rights, and parents should be deciding what their children are reading and viewing. You won't find a library that would disagree with that. But by censoring books based on demands of special interest groups, the rights of others are being infringed. My parental rights of wanting my child to be able to access the full range of stories that exist and to learn about different perspectives is being denied. Decisions about what a child reads and views should be between the child and their parents, without input from government or special interest groups. My heart breaks because we have seen in other jurisdictions. Sorry. That is not why Anglo-Saxon Protestant themes that get targeted when censorship begins. Censorship overwhelmingly targets stories by and about 2S LGBTQ+ individuals and people of color, accounting for over 50% of book challenges. As a white, straight, cis female, I can't speak to the experience of growing up bisexual or transgender. But there are brave writers who have and who are sharing their stories with us. As my children grow and explore their identities, I won't always understand what they're feeling. But they might recognize themselves in one of those stories. Pro-censorship groups say they're protecting the children, but with 25% of 2S LGBTQ+ youth experiencing suicidal ideation compared to 5% of their cis peers, I fear for the child who's struggling with their identity and denied the opportunity to learn about themselves through other stories. If 2S LGBTQ+ and race themes books are segregated or removed, these stories can't be discovered by a child who may really need one. I would encourage all council members to support this motion and to support public libraries. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mickelson-Andren. Next, we have Mr. Jacob Backinger.
Hello, thank you. I'm Jacob Backinger, and I live in Lethbridge, and I belong to a family of avid library users. We love the library. So I'm here to express my support for Councillor Crowson's motion to confirm confidence in the Lethbridge Public Library, and also to echo the concerns that you've just heard. A month or two ago, I wrote to the Minister of Municipal Affairs about the changes to the Library Act. I sent him a column that I'd written for the Lethbridge Herald about how appalling, bizarre, and authoritarian Bill 28 is. I received a reply from the minister just the other day, in fact. Now, I'm sure it was a form letter, but it was instructive. In the reply, the minister wrote that this bill and these changes to the Library Act would protect people, protect families like mine, from pornographic materials in the library. And that was the word he used, pornographic. And that's absurd. There is no pornography in our library. And I think everyone in this chamber should be insulted by the minister's belief that there is. And this goes to show how little he understands libraries, librarians, library collections, and the diverse communities that they serve. And for that reason, and for so many other reasons mentioned here just a few moments ago, I hope you'll pass Councillor Crowson's motion and confirm confidence in our excellent public library. I really feel that what we're seeing here is a thin edge of the wedge, and we're going to see a lot more. These changes are just the beginning, and we've already seen similar trends with the public library, not the public library, excuse me, with the school library systems. I think we're on that trend. That's what's happening. I understand Crowson's motion offers an opportunity to pump the brakes on this process, and I hope that you will pass it, pump the brakes, and demand more from our minister. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? I have those that have asked to speak. Anyone else who wishes to speak to this? If they come to the mic and state your name. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll turn it over to questions. Councillor Campbell.
Mr. Mayor, Ms. Plato, if you could just pop up for a second. I kind of want to get the sense of a timeline about all of Bill 28 and how this was brought to you. Was this a total blindside that you heard of all of these changes that came to you, and what was your immediate reaction, I guess?
Trying to remember back the timelines. As was mentioned, there was some legislation passed for school libraries last year. And so when that started to be talked about, then the discussion started around whether this would continue to public libraries. We were assured that it wouldn't. And then it became clear that that there would be legislation being brought forward for public libraries. I will say that the messaging from different members of the province has conflicted. And so that's one of the, the legislation is passed now. And so one of the things we're really trying to determine is what the intended regulations are, because again, they can be very broad, very costly, very difficult. They can be much more narrow. And so that's really our goal now is, again, try and ensure that the province understands that there are costs and that if they're going to impose things that would change how we operate, that there is support for those costs. So it's been a bit of an evolution and conflicting information, but it's any legislation that introduces censorship is obviously always concerning. So we've been having discussions for a very long time about it.
Do they have, is there any sense of, I mean, I know you want a lot of clarification about a lot of things, but is there any sense of when all of this gets enacted?
Yeah, so the legislation is in force.
Yeah.
Again, the wording of the legislation is extremely broad, and so
Right.
we're really just waiting for the regulations. We understand they are meant to be drafted by the end of the summer, and then we would be required to be in compliance by January. Again, depending on the scope of the regulations, that window could also be problematic, but that's what we are aware of in terms of timelines.
And in terms of communication between the people that are creating this new legislation, what kind of back and forth has there been, or if any, with not only Lethbridge Library, but all of the libraries in Alberta? Or has it been, this is their decision, this is what we want to do? Has there been any consultation?
There has not been, from our perspective as an Alberta library community, there has not been consultation. We have been provided information. We were invited to one meeting, but we were told it was not for consultation. It was for them to let us, know what they intended, and for us to help them figure out how to write the regulations. But there seemed to be very little flexibility in terms of what those regulations said. So we've communicated. There's also a steering committee working for the province that has had some discussion, and my understanding is that there has been some meetings recently. So again, a lot of just big question marks, but there was no consultation prior to the legislation being passed.
And so ultimately, with this resolution that we're sending to the province, I mean, what is your feeling of the outcome of sending this note to the government?
Yeah, from my perspective, it's really about, I mean, again, from our perspective, we could take very many or
Sure.
very different ways of looking at this, but in terms of council's role, again, council being the funder of the library, if we impose significant changes to how libraries operate, which is what this potentially could be, libraries operate on open access, we remove barriers. This potentially puts up lots of barriers and requires new systems and that sort of thing. Is that the cost of that would ultimately fall on the library / the municipality. And so I think, like from my perspective, one of council's biggest roles would be to ensure that the impact of that is communicated to the province and and supported if needed. Also, you know, I think, as has been stated, council appoints the board. Libraries are a municipal service. They are meant to be community-run, community-driven. And as has been stated, you know, stating support for the library board and the staff and the work we do, and upholding the board's ability to manage the library in the best interest of the community would also be very important from my perspective.
And just one final thought. I know you're in touch with all the libraries across Alberta. Is it pretty unanimous that Bill 28 is just the wrong way to go? Would you say?
I mean, I can't really speak for libraries. I would say, so we are a member of the Coalition of Alberta Public Libraries, which represent 99% of the population in Alberta. And the coalition was formed as a group to respond to this legislation. So I would say most libraries would agree.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Bieber.
Thank you, Mayor Harrigan. Ms. Plato, I mean, we know Bill 28 is already passed. Yeah. And, you know, I'm on Chinook Arts Library Board. I know there are some serious issues. But I'm just kind of wondering, I know you guys have been kept in the dark about this, but what kind of advocacy has the board itself been doing before and since?
Yeah, so we have been writing letters. We've had meetings with MLAs. We've had successful meetings with 2 meetings with Minister Neudorf recently, meeting with MLA Miyashiro as well. We've been writing letters to the ministry. We have been, you know, trying to inform the community about what these changes could mean for themselves. We've been doing all of those things up until now, and will continue to, because again, for the board and for myself and the library staff, it's really about how this will impact services to the community. It will have an impact on the community.
Thank you.
Ms. Plato, actually, while you're on that topic, so you did meet with the 2 MLAs that we have within the city of Lethbridge. Can you share what the support or lack of from both of them?
We both listened to our concerns and expressed that they would have concerns as well about government overreach into parental responsibility, and both committed to speaking with their colleagues.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Councillor Wolf.
Thank you. You've mentioned a couple of times that we're waiting to kind of flesh out exactly what's going to happen. Is there a benefit of waiting so we know a little bit more information as to what exactly is being forced on you? Is there an advantage there?
I think that once the regulations are passed, it would be very unlikely that they would be going back to change them. So I do think any, you know, influence that we can have on the regulations, again, to make them practical and workable and not extremely costly, would be of benefit. Absolutely.
Is the pornography aspect a big deal? Is that a big factor in all this? Because everybody's mentioned it.
Well, the minister, when he announced the bill, that was the reasoning he used, was around access to pornography, as he framed it. So that's the reasoning that the province is giving. As we've said, we don't have pornography in the library.
So the difficulty there is in one's interpretation of pornography, right? Because
Exactly.
Britannica says pornography, representation of sexual behavior in books, pictures, statues, films, and other media that is intended to cause sexual excitement. And we have 50 Shades of Grey in our collection. Could one argue that that's pornographic, according to that definition? Could one argue that?
I guess you can make that argument if you would like to. 50 Shades of Grey is an adult material that's in the adult collection.
Sure. So I'm just saying, for some people, maybe not you folks, but for some people, they might consider that to be pornographic.
They could. And again, the really important piece is that libraries are not meant to decide for you what you can have access to. That's, you know, fundamental in our freedoms under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, is that as long as it is legal, you have the right to access it. So the point is that we don't make the decisions, but people absolutely could make that decision not to access.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you.
All right, I see no further questions, but I understand, oh yeah, go ahead, Councilor Doria.
My clarification is directed to the proponent. Is it okay? So in the now therefore be it resolved, the number one, like it affirming rights, can be understood. The second one and the third one, I'm not sure if, the second one is we request the mayor to write a letter. Then the third one is request the government. Is it part of the letter of the mayor to request the government of Alberta to ensure, or? Because the number 4 is kindly be understood, direct administration to do something. So the 2 and number 3 is one, or it's a separate letter? Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
I need a microphone.
Oh, sorry, the microphone. The microphone. Thank you.
Number 3 is understood to be as part of the letter.
Part of the second.
No, well, yes, but one is the concerns and one is the request of the government. So yes, it is, would be part of the letter.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any further questions from my colleagues? And is it my understanding, read through your resolution previously to?
No, I have sent a new one to City Clerk.
Okay.
It is very similar, so we can discuss the one that you previously had. It's just updated around Bill, that is now the law, and it confirms what Ms. Plato said. So basically, it is about clarifying what will be restricted and what regulations will be in, a recognition of the controls currently in place and that parents are currently making the decisions, and to, again, request that if there's any operational requirements, the province would be kind enough to pay for it themselves. I don't see that one passing, even if we are being agreed to by them, but we have to ask. If you don't ask for money, you don't get it.
Just getting a print off of the new one.
Sure. There'll be one quick change.
So I have it here that be it resolved that the Community Issues Committee recommend the City Council affirms its confidence in the City of Lethbridge Library Board and its professional staff to manage library collections and services in accordance with the existing legislation, board policies, and community standards. And request that the Mayor Higgin, on behalf of Council, write a letter to the Minister of Municipal Affairs to A, express concern regarding the new provisions under the Libraries Act, and request that the government provide clarity on what will be restricted and what the regulations are. And B, request that the government provide recognition of the controls currently in place and how the controls already in place permit parents to make the decisions. And C,
It'll be C, yes.
C, encourage that the government of Alberta ensure that any operational requirements imposed on public libraries are accompanied by dedicated provincial funding. And number 3, direct the city manager to send a copy of this resolution and the letter drafted to the Premier, the local MLAs, Alberta municipalities, and the rural municipalities of Alberta. So Councillor Crowson to open.
So this was drafted originally in consultation with our library board, and it is to bring forward their concerns, but also our concerns that I'm hoping are shared by my colleagues. As I have noted, we are the ones who actually appoint the library board, and they are doing their work under us as the council. I mean, they have their Library Act, but they are doing their work. We don't know what the restrictions will be. We don't know what the regulations are. We don't know what the costs are. And we are asking the province to talk to us, to let us know what those things are, and if they would be so kind to pay for it themselves.
Any further debate? All right. See, Councillor Bieber?
Is it too late to make an amendment to this motion?
Nope.
Because I really have questions and concerns about this stage in the game, sending a letter to the province, given the dubious effectiveness we've had. I mean, we've had success with the EMS one, but Bill 28's already passed. I would feel more comfortable if we split this into two, starting with the affirming confidence in the City of Lethbridge Library Board. I'm totally supportive of that, because to me, Bill 28, it's political theater aimed at the UCP trying to keep and maintain and grow a certain selection of voters. But I have serious concerns about what kind of relationship we're going to have with the province if we actually have the mayor write yet another letter. I'm really concerned about that. So I would like to divide it into two. Part one, separate, and then vote on the letter part of it.
All right, so we'll split it after number one. So the first one would be affirms its confidence in the City of Lethbridge Library Board and its professional staff to manage library collections. And the second, all of the second part from 2 forward then, is that
Yes.
correct? Including 3 as well?
Yes.
Which is direct city manager said, I guess it would be.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll split the vote on, so it'd be on the first and the second. Now you're going to find out procedurally here, because also on the first one, I would like to make amendment on number 1, if I could. But should we first vote on it, or no?
This is not an amendment, it's just a split, and any member of council can ask for a split.
Yeah.
So you can put your amendment forward on number 1.
Thank you. The amendment to number 1 is confirming council's support in the public library, in the Lethbridge Public Library, its board and staff, which is this top of the resolution. And because my concern, and I'll be very honest, is to manage library collections and services, well, that's saying that I'm okay with number 2 and 3, which I am not. So I would like to, the folks and the staff there, I strongly support the work that they are doing to, and we just want to make sure that they are supported for the work that they're doing at the library. I don't support some of the library collections and services in accordance with existing legislation, board policies, and community standards. So I'd like to make that change.
So do you want to delete that word?
So just delete affirms confidence in the City of Lethbridge Library Board and its professional staff. Now it could be read as if.
So not friendly, so.
Yeah. It's not friendly?
No.
Okay.
Oh, no.
No, this is, yeah, it'd be voted on separately. Somebody else was in the queue, sorry. So we'd vote first on the change and then we'd go back to the original if this fails. All right. So actually I'll have Councillor Schmidt-Rempel if you wanted to call on this one because it's my, yeah. So.
But I can debate on this one, correct? Yeah, so I won't be supporting this because it's their job to manage library collections and services in according with existing legislation, board policies, and community standards. That's their job. So I won't be supporting this.
All right.
Fortunately or unfortunately, I think probably globally, unfortunately, the bill is law. We don't know actually what's coming down the pipeline as to what is going to be required. There are many, many, many advocates here who have already spoken with the government. We've had face-to-faces with local government. And Councillor Bieber is correct. There is, unfortunately, in this very, very murky world of politics that we live in, there's a political capital cost to overextending ourselves into something that's already done. And I'm not convinced that a letter will provide any positives that are tangible. And I believe in our library staff's ability to make this work. And I am happy to affirm my confidence in that. Thank you.
We're debating the amendment, correct?
Just the amendment.
The amendment of what he just put.
And if I could to the mover here, because in hearing what I've heard thus far, the original mover of the full motion, so professional staff to manage library collection services in accordance with existing legislation. So that would be the legislation that the province has, that they'd have to work under. Okay, so that's, if these changes were done, then they would work under that. Okay, then you know what? I'm going to remove that because then that makes sense if it's working with the province, what they have. Thank you. So I will remove that. The split is still the one and.
We do need consent from council to withdraw.
Yes, am I allowed to withdraw that, council members? Yes, yes. Thank you. I have a better understanding now with it. Thank you.
Sorry. So the existing here, I'm on my microphone. The existing is the existing or the what?
Whatever the province puts in.
So when there are new,
You remember this was written when the existing was the old one? But it is whatever, they will do it under what they're told to do.
Okay.
They would just like to know it.
Okay. I'm okay, Mayor.
No, that made total sense. Thank you. All right, so we do have it split into, the first one will be voted on and debated will be number 1, and then the rest would be 2 and 3 after. So on the first, questions, I'll entertain questions again on the first, and seeing none, any debate? And Councillor Bieber, if you wanted to share your reasonings behind that?
You shut yourself off.
Oh, did I? Better me than somebody else here. Yeah, I really support our library board. I've been following Bill 28. I understand the ramifications. There's a lot of financial stuff. And I deeply have concern about what the provincial government's doing. But the fact is, Bill 28's already passed. So I just think it's really important to affirm this and to let the library know we support it. And I think it's incumbent upon our library board here and across the province to advocate strongly for themselves, knowing that we as a council are behind them to a certain degree. Because I think when we get to the letter writing issue, that's another issue. That's another matter entirely, whether it's going to be effective. But this says right here, clearly, we are behind them. And I think we have to be, because there are concerns about this, and this expresses that concern.
Thank you. I too will be supporting this, the first part of this motion, and I see no further debate in here, so we'll go to, and do you want me to read it again, my colleagues? I think you see it up there. It's fine. Okay. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Now we'll move to the second part here, which is requests that Mayor Hagan, on behalf of City Council, write a letter to the Minister of Municipal Affairs to express concern regarding the new provisions under the Libraries Act, and request that the government provide clarity on what will be restricted and what regulations are, and request that the government provide recognition on the controls currently in place and how the controls already in place permit parents to make the decisions, and C, encourage that the Government of Alberta ensure that the operational requirements imposed on public libraries are accompanied by dedicated provincial funding, and 3, direct the city manager to send a copy of this resolution and the letter to the draft to be drafted to the Premier, the local MLAs, Alberta municipalities, and the rural municipalities of Alberta. And Councillor Crozon.
I'm hoping my colleagues will support this. Personally, I will do what is right, or what I believe is right for this community and for the residents of Lethbridge, regardless of who I may annoy, because it doesn't say in the MGA, only do what's right unless you annoy somebody. It says, do your job. So I hope my colleagues will support this. One of the greatest difficulties when you are facing things that are maybe coming from authoritarian areas is do not obey in advance. Don't get scared out of doing what is right just because you know it is going to be what people expect, that you will conform to restrictive authoritarian government in advance. So I hope my colleagues will support this.
Thank you, Councillor Crozon. Councillor Wolf.
I think what's important to, again, remember here is we don't know what's coming. So now we're proposing writing a letter saying, whatever the heck it is you do propose, we oppose it. And we think that there's just no good going to come of it. I would much rather have more information, and if there's something that we need to be addressing individually, doing that from that position of knowing. This is just going to say, hi, we disagree, this is no good, thanks, have a good day. And I think, and you can make whatever faces you want, but that's how it will be interpreted. And for those who want to advocate for the library, and I'm with you, we should be advocating on things that we know and that we can fix, as opposed to just some global objection saying that we just don't agree. I don't think we're in an environment where that's going to really make any tangible benefit for you folks and for those that use the library. I won't be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell.
I'll be supporting this. This is just a letter. This is what we concern. What we're hearing from our library board. These are the things that are really important to them. We've selected them. We pay for them to make their decisions, and this is something that is very important to them. Whether the government decides yes or no on what we're asking, that's another matter. But this purely puts this in place where this is what I think we all believe that these are the things that our library wants. Please confirm that. And I don't think it's saying anything derogatory to the government. This is just a sense of what we believe is very important, and it for many, many different reasons why we're asking for that clarification. So I see nothing wrong with writing that letter and just giving them our viewpoint. So I'll support the letter.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Thank you very much, Mayor Hegan, and thank you very much, Councillor Crowson, for bringing this forward, and to the library staff and board for all the work that you do in our community. I will support this motion. I have so many concerns with Bill 28. What's gone on with this legislation, you know, I go back to with the province, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should or should do it in the way that you've done it. Overarchingly, with Bill 28, I don't understand the problem that the province is trying to address when, as a province, we're also dealing with issues of affordability, housing, public safety, and infrastructure. We have so many much bigger problems to deal with rather than censoring libraries. I don't even see this as an appropriate use of provincial authority, and maybe I'm channeling my inner Councillor Dodick on this one, but I just don't. I'm concerned about Bill 28's impact on governance and the province reaching into our governance lane. To me, governance of the local library is the duty of the local board. That is their job, to make those operational decisions, and we as a municipality have appointed those people to do that work for us. There will be costs associated with this, and they will be downloaded onto us. We saw it with body-worn cameras. It'll happen again. And if this change to legislation results in costs from the province, then it needs to be the province that pays for it. And then finally, you know, one of the things that just kept ringing every time I heard about Bill 28, I don't have kids, but I'm not going to be part of supporting taking away parental rights and what kids access to the library. I will not do that. So I will be supporting this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. I will not be supporting this motion. As we all sit around this horseshoe, we get different communication. I'm sure our communication is very different on a regular basis. And so, as my colleague said earlier, trying to do what's best for the community, I too will do what I believe is right for the community. There's everything that you'll get communication that, you know, we don't want this, get out of the lane, you're a religious Bible thumper, and just move out of the way and let us do this at the library. We hear it all. We do. We hear it all. And I just think that with the communications that I've received, I think the right thing is to express the support, which was done previously of the library and with the existing legislation, whatever that may be. But as far as writing a letter, I will not support. So, Councillor Cross.
This is simply expressing concern that we did not have a chance to have any input from our library before these were brought forward. This is merely asking for clarification. This is asking for recognition. So this is simply going, you're making these changes. Let us know what the changes are, please. Let us know why these changes are being made. And it is requesting information. And again, I hope my colleagues will support it.
All right, thank you, Councillor Crowson. And so we'll do a vote by roll call if we could, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Higgin. Councillor Parker.
In favor.
Councillor Wolf.
Opposed.
Acting Mayor Schmidt-Rempel.
In favor.
Mayor Higgin.
Opposed.
Councillor Bieber. Opposed. Councillor Campbell.
In favor.
Councillor Crowson.
In favor.
Councillor Doria.
In favor.
Passes 5-3.
All right. Next is a submission, and we'll have Mr. Matthews speak to this. It's regarding the Project D28 SAG Facility Enhancement 2022 to 2031 CIP Amendment. So, Mr. Matthews.
Thank you, members of CIC. So what we have in front of you here today is an amendment to the SAG Facility Enhancement Project. The Southern Alberta Art Gallery was successful in getting a further grant from Travel Alberta. And similar to other components, we need to make sure that Council approves that increase to the CIP budget to be able to expend that under Section 248. It does highlight inside of here too that there is a couple of items that only will be completed if funding is available. So right now, you know, within it, you see there's entrance signage and also the listening garden components of it. Those items there are components that if they come under budget, they will work on it. So what that is doing is it's allowing the scope to include those if the contingency isn't fully utilized. With us here today, we do have members of from Recreation and Culture, as well as Facility Services, if members of council have any questions in regards to this project and some of the changes.
All right, any questions, Councillor Bieber?
The majority of funding for this project, the $7 million, where is it coming from?
Thank you, Councillor Bieber. So the most of the funding from this project is coming from $5.5 million of MSI funding, which now would be known as the Local Government Fiscal Framework funding. What I will say on that, in this particular bit of funding for MSI, as council is aware, that funding stream is coming to an end. We must spend it by December 31st, 2028, or we will have to give it back to the province.
Sure, Councillor Bieber.
I won't touch it. So just to clarify I hate this, I'm so confused with this thing. Just to clarify, so this is money that is not coming out of local taxpayers. It's provincial government money or federal?
Thank you, Councillor Bieber. So, well, that, it's kind of a loaded question in regards to the different kind of funding sources, but you are correct. This is provincial funding that we receive for capital projects, whether it's MSI, the new LGFF, or if you're federal side, you'd look at federal gas tax or some of those components. However, council makes the decision what they're going to spend those dollars on. So council allocates as long as it meets the eligibility requirements for any different project. It just so happens that council, during the last CIP, it was allocated towards this project.
Any further questions? Seeing none, Councillor Dore, can I have you sponsor this? Yeah. Thank you. All right, so be it resolved, the Community Issues Committee recommends the City Council amend the 2022 to 2031 Capital Improvement Program CIP budget for Project D28 SAG Facility Enhancements to include the additional Travel Alberta grant funding in the amount of $200,000 and include in the project scope the potential entrance signage, lighting improvements, and listening guarding as presented in Attachment 1. Councillor Doria.
I think they presented already in the attachment all the information needed for us to decide. So it says that if we will not spend this $200,000 within the year, then it will be returned back, right? I just want to clarify that, Mr. Darrell, Mr. Matthews.
Thank you, Councillor Doria. So the expenditure deadline for my understanding for Travel Alberta is March 31st, 2027. So it needs to be spent by that time.
Okay. So if there is no clarification from my colleagues, I will call a vote.
Question been called. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. I just wanted to confirm, as I didn't ask if there's any members in the public on the last one to speak. Staff, did you want to speak to the? I'm so sorry. Is there something you want to add? Please feel free to do. You need to. I'm sure you're happy that's in support, anyways. But I apologize, Ms.
Not at all, but I would be remiss not to take this opportunity just to say thank you. Suying Strang here, Executive Director of Southern Alberta Art Gallery, Mansiksikate Satapi Sinikson, joined here by our Board Chair, Moya Johnson. Short and sweet, as you've already called the question, and you know all about the project. We've been here before and been able to raise some dollars in support of this work. We're very delighted that Travel Alberta has seen the Southern Alberta Art Gallery as well as the City of Lethbridge as an important destination for visitors and has invested in this important project. It's going to revitalize our institution and our downtown, and we're so grateful to be able to accept these dollars from Travel Alberta, so thank you so much for your support on that one. I also just want to take an opportunity to thank our project leads and liaisons within the city, Brian Friesen and Jillian Bracken, who have supported us along this grant journey, as well as senior admin who have put together the amendments, so thank you all so much. And of course, to the committee for your careful consideration of this important funding. And yes, I'm happy to take questions if there are any, but I know, again, you've already called the question, so I can also give you that time back.
No, thank you so much. And my apologies for not calling before, but I'm thankful that you're able to come forward and say those words. And thank you to yourself and to your board for working on finding other funding for this. So thank you very much for that. It's great. Any additional funding that we get towards it is less, I say less on taxpayers. It comes from one pocket, but coming from Travel Alberta, thank you, is a great addition. So thank you very much for that work.
Yeah, we're happy to do our part and support. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you. My colleagues are fine to not have to vote on that again. We're good, right? All right. Thank you. That changed your mind. All right. All right. I have a resolution here on the Link Pathway Project grant funding. So moved by Councillor Schmidt-Rempel, or Acting Mayor Schmidt-Rempel, be it resolved that the Community Issues Committee recommends that City Council, number one, amend the 2022 to 2031 capital improvement budget for Project C6 Bikeways, Pathways, Sidewalks along roadways to include additional funding and expenditures for a total budget increase of $981,679 as presented in attachment 3. Authorize the city to enter into an agreement with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, for the project, building a climate resilient active transportation pathway between Lethbridge and Coaldale. And number 3, authorize the city to enter into a third-party agreement with the Link Pathway Committee. Open to questions. Seeing no questions, open debate. Acting Mayor Schmidt. Oh, sorry, question, go ahead.
Just wanted to confirm how this money is rolling, Mr. Matthews. Just, I mean, and how, what kind of an impact it has on any budgetary restrictions.
I actually might turn this over to Mr. Sanchez to speak to that one there on the actual pathways and so forth. But what I would say, just in general, the extra funding has came in to do this work. So this, the work we're talking about here is additional dollars on it. So
it's just. I mean, it's not additional dollars to taxpayers. It's just more money coming in for the project.
That's right. Yep. Okay. So we got additional funding.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted the clarity on. Just to confirm that. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, to open debate, Acting Mayor Schmidt-Rempel. Oh, sorry, yes. Is there anyone in the gallery, my apologies, that wishes to speak to this? I'm seeing it empty in there and I just see our admin, but maybe we'll have someone come forward. Take off the hat, put on your other hat. All right, seeing none, thank you. Acting Mayor Schmidt-Rempel.
Thank you very much. I just ask for committee's support to spend the money that we're being given, and we're not. Can we just spend the money that we've been given on this project that we've been given it for? All right.
Any further debate? Seeing none, Acting Mayor Schmidt-Rempel to close.
Please vote for this.
Question's been called. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. All right. Councillor Parker to sponsor this. All right. I have a motion, Business Development Expansion and Retention Program, M Housing application. Be it resolved that the Community Issues Committee recommends the City Council approve M Housing's application and direct administration to enter in a grant agreement with terms and conditions acceptable to the City Manager with M Housing for their project as outlined in Attachment 2 and in alignment with Policy CC74. Sir Parker.
Any questions, first of all?
Any questions? And is there anyone in the galleries who wishes to speak to this? All right. Seeing none.
Question.
Question's been called. All in favor? And that is unanimous. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you.